LootBet, made for live betting.
Don't know how to build a team from scratch or find good teammates? DreamTeam.gg, the ultimate team building platform. Find and connect with new players, coaches and teams. Manage and monetize your team. Get on fast track to advance from novice to amateur and, if desired, to professional gamer. Join DreamTeam.gg today.
It's the quick scope! This is unreal! Anything is possible. Anything is possible! Ustillo is a monster, Tom!
Welcome back here to the best of three between SK and VG. We do have that third map for you guys. It is going to be Train here, Vendetta. So we just saw Inferno, a bit of a comeback from VG, unfortunately shut down in overtime by SK, who managed to find it flawlessly. What are your expectations coming into this third map?
More of SK in that sense, but yeah, no, you say comeback from SK, and that is true. We did have Vici, a comeback from Vici, which is true. They had a bit of a rough first half, but they were, they did have match point. We're up 14 to 11 as well at one point, so they definitely had opportunities to actually close this out too. And if it hadn't been for the heroics of Fallen on that B bomb set with the ZZ, that could have very easily gone. We could have been out of here. In that sense, we could have been on to the second series of the day, which is crazy to think about.
That's really scary, right? 16-14. If that actually came through for Vici and they 2-0'd SK, obviously now it seems okay. They should be able to find this third map if everything goes to plan. But if that was a 2-0 for Vici, not only would that massively upset how this bracket's going to go, but obviously that would be heartbreaking for SK. Like one of the biggest underdogs in the entire event, with SK coming up against and getting 2-0'd. Like that's not how you want to start off a tournament.
No, definitely not. Especially with how poorly we've been playing as of late. In addition to that, but there's a ton of things, interesting factors coming into Train here now. For the first two maps between Cash and Inferno, two T-sided maps predominantly. Train doesn't play out in the same kind of fashion as those two maps normally do. And in addition to that, we talked about it at the very start of the game, the fact that the two first maps of the series are maps where Fallen is still calling. That's not going to be the case on Train if what they're saying in their interviews is true, at least.
Yeah, maybe they're just completely.
They could be mind gaming everyone. Who knows? Because. Yeah, in-game leading doesn't seem to have an effect on coldzera, apparently, in terms of performance. He's been doing really well for himself. But yeah, this could be a bit of a change-up to what we've seen normally out of SK, which should be interesting. And also, now we get to see VG playing a much more technical map, one of the more technical maps in the map pool, and see how that pans out as well. So I'm excited to see how this is gonna play out. I'm I guess cautiously optimistic for VG as well, because they've been just doing so well just individually that I think they can get a couple of rounds and actually make this a pretty interesting game.
And as we could see there as well, a kind of question mark coming into the first map especially was like SK's previous wins on the map
a lack
Cash,
of wins on Cash?
Well, no, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a lack of wins. It was more like wins. The only wins being against far lower opposition, like a couple of Aussie teams from Sydney as well, and not really what you would want if you're SK coming into this one. But here we saw them with a win there versus Gambit. I imagine that was at ACL, and Gambit, great Train team as well. Team that have been making improvements despite just switching up a player, and against Liquid as well, who not necessarily known as a Train team, but have still been really good recently. Yeah, exactly. So even though VG are strong on this map, it is domestically, right? And that is where we know them to be good. So coming up against SK, I'm definitely going to lean in favor of this team, but anything is possible. We've learned that from this first first map especially.
Definitely have, and you know, Counter-Strike results in general the last couple of months have just been really weird. There seems to be no constant and like no one you can necessarily rely on in that sense. So yeah, they're definitely within shot for VG as well, and we haven't really seen them play train. What we have seen is, you know, I guess all the questions we've had raised towards them. You know, can they play versus international opposition? How's Freeman going to do at his first, you know, proper international event? Is Summer going to be able to finally replicate, you know, what he's doing domestically and all that stuff? That's actually come true. They've answered those calls, so that's been really promising to see. So we're going to see if that remains true going into train.
And Attacker as well. He's had some great games so far, even though they lost that previous map. He looked pretty good there as well. So, yeah, nice to see a couple of stars shining on VG, but they're really going to have to go overboard here on the third and final map of this series. And again, even if they lose this, right, it's not the end of the world for VG. As much as they would be kind of annoyed that they had an opportunity to take the series, you're coming into this event as underdogs, you're coming into this game as underdogs, and for you to even rival SK in overtime and with a 16-1, yeah, okay, you could lose out on train, but it still sets you off to a positive future. One big question mark, at least, for an event and a team like this is, you know, VG have known this first matchup for a while now, so they've clearly done their prep and their practice around that. Once they finish this game, whether win or lose, they're not going to be as well prepped against the other teams they come up against. So it's the question of, can they repeat this performance versus SK up against other teams that they haven't prepped for? And
that's what we've seen in the past with Tyloo, for instance. They've done really well, like remarkably well, in their first round opponents, or versus their first round opponents, and then just slowly petered away in the tournaments. And you know, I would rank Tyloo still above Vici. So, yeah, no, that's a bit of a danger as well.
And it works both ways, right? SK may be weak on the first game because they're being counter-stratted, but then going forward, maybe they start to show their own game and people can counter-strat them less. But we'll get into that later. We're into the pistol, and Fallen certainly is. 2 kills on the USP already. Third player running through. Bolts is going to lock down onto Zoking, and that was very split from Flash. I mean, some are not even joining Zoking on that push in through Ivy. You feel like if you're going to go for such a ballsy play through smoke, you want a teammate to support you. Now it is just a 1v4, and even with Dinks in, this is a small consolation here to the VG side. Probably just a SK round.
Summer's had a trend for picking up 4Ks when VG needs them.
Yeah,
so
true.
Who knows? There's a pretty tall order, though. Bolt's not peeking as well. They're not giving up anything for free here, SK. This is just very well done. Oh, that's one of the non-dinked up players down.
Oh,
is he doing it? Is he doing it?
1 by 1.
10 HP, though.
Oh, what? Summer? It's in a 1v1 now. No way he's going to win this round.
40 seconds.
Bolt's tagged up, and he's repositioned in the open, but he saves the day. Oh, that got way too close.
He actually gets a tag onto Bolts as well.
And SK played that so well, right? You got the long-range players fighting up Cold Zero, full health, back of the train fighting. You don't have Fur close. You don't have Bolts who's tagged up playing from Ivy. I mean, SK didn't even overface necessarily in that engagement. They just missed their shots.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, both 100 HP players on the side of SK kind of whiff about, give Summer the opportunity, and I think, yeah, you could probably make the case that Bolts perhaps should have peaked when, you know, Summer's committing that heavily towards Cold Zero or the second player close to Ivy. But yeah, no, they definitely shouldn't have gotten that close. But yeah, individual shining once again for Vici. Still though, SK off to a good start here. And tags coming in left and right here. Summer down to 31 HP, Freeman at 62. And doesn't seem like they have necessarily that much of a plan on the side of Vici. They've bought up with 3 Deagles, so perhaps hoping for some long-range shots to connect. But no flashes or anything to get them in towards the bomb side. Usually you can see, you know, a couple of flashes and smokes being purchased up in these kind of rounds for, you know, a kind of a sudden inner hit to get a bomb plant down. It's not going to be the case. They've actually stacked up with 4 players towards Pop Dog here. This could either go very well or very badly.
Yeah, badly for who is the question. Fur, he's going to be the first man down, and Freeman also finds another opening kill. Bolt's at range of the MP9, somehow gets a double there, but he has to switch to the pistol because he's run out of ammo, and the bomb has been dropped in the open, leaving time for Stewie to rotate in. SK, they looked a bit fearful in this round, but now they're back in control, but for how much longer? Lovey's still hitting shots, and if he can win this duel, that could be theirs, but no, not going to be allowed. Summer now in the 1v2, scout in hand, but he doesn't realize he's being wrapped. He's just been crossed from the back, and Stewie will pick up his second kill. So SK, A little bit dicey here and there, but they do take their round.
Yeah, considering, I guess, what the approach was from VG, they got way more out of that than I initially expected. Just Bolts being able to find those 2 frags, just doing a really good job. Dropping the bomb was probably the biggest thing. I think if VG can get the bomb plant down and then, you know, maybe sneak away into a couple of after plant positions, that gets really rough for SK. But they do manage to hold on. Just 2 rounds on the board. And they're going to stick with quite a few MP9s, 3 to be exact. And obviously no investment on the side of VG.
I think that was SK's first pistol as well, now that I think about it, because of course on Cash they got 16-1. They didn't pick up first pistol, and they definitely didn't pick up second. So yeah, that's their first pistol round finally coming through on the 5th. Which has definitely helped them at least to lead off to a good start. And this round is no different. Clean from SK. Exactly what they would have hoped for. Now it's the question, do we see the bonus? coldzera drops his MP9, so he's just going to straight up upgrade. Probably swapping that over to Fallen.
Yeah, well, he might hold on to it himself as well. He did a pretty good job. They're going to go with double ups, yeah. But we didn't, I guess, it's kind of weird we didn't talk too much about coldzera on Inferno, even though we ended up being the top fragger, because he was just consistently getting a frag here, a frag there. Basically doing coldzera things in that sense.
Not always the flashiest, but consistent.
Exactly, just getting everything done. And it was more on the fact that, you know, other players on the side of SK were definitely not performing to start things off. And we started seeing the tides turn when they started to chip in finally. But yeah, coldzera has definitely been playing well, especially with that op so far. We saw him constantly getting, you know, those opening picks towards that A-bomb site on Inferno whenever VG wanted to slow play it. So here we go, definitely not a bad choice, but it's a heavy investment. And it does kind of deplete a lot of the bank that SK had done so well building up initially.
I do like this aggression though. We have a bit of a bait set up from Bolts as well. Stewie very committed here, and there's nowhere for him to back off. So if a Molotov traps him in, this is dangerous. coldzera looks to peek through it, but he's just burning alive. Down to 28. It's a barbecue in the B halls, and Stewie luckily going to come with a kill himself.
I think that seems like it was purely out of bait. It might not be necessary to take that much damage, but obviously taking the shot from higher there like makes Freeman think that it's going to be that only player holding towards the bomb side. Ooh, Attacker's actually going to win out the duel versus Fur for not being able to connect. Definitely had the drop on him initially.
Still have this close position though from Fallen. Look at this. He's got right by the smoke with the Deagle. Not exactly known for its close range positioning, but with 30 seconds left, this is perfect because this is going to further delay Vici when they go for this push, and they've got to go for it now as well. coldzera sitting on the site with his own AWP can lock down the Pop Dog, and he spots Oaking, gets a bit of extra time, but Fallen's the one to hit his shot. Follow up with a Deagle as well. One man left up, and even though he can drop the AWP, it's only one AWP down, and SK can easily retrieve that as they did the round. 4-0. Only one AWP saved, but not a big problem.
No, coldzera could still reinvest if he wants to do so. It's kind of mulling things over, it seems like, and he's going to opt to go with the Colts. And I guess if Fallen is hitting his shots as he is right now, then you don't necessarily need 2 ops on your side. No. Double rifle setup with Stewie and coldzera on the inner, definitely going to do a lot of work.
Especially when, like, now VG are going into a round where they have pistols, so a B play is very, very likely. You're going to want coldzera close with a rifle rather than, you know, with an AWP playing from range up against pistols.
Yeah.
Far easier to get overwhelmed.
Exactly. So much more mobility on the side of coldzera. He's going to be shoulder peeking out towards upper. Fur has just been caught out massively by a flash, emptied an entire clip in Pop Dog and not finding anything for it. So that's a weapon for Zoking, and he does have armor as well. This might lead to something good for Vici. Then again, round 1 still fairly unquestionable, or fairly questionable if they're going to be able to amount that much of success. But if they can get a bomb plant in this kind of scenario, that should be good. Maybe we could see an AWP coming out on Summer.
And that kills force of rotation as well. So now it's just Stewie towards that B site, meaning this is now a lot easier to take. Less problems for this T side, even with no utility. But Stewie in a position where they're going to really trouble to get him out. He doesn't need to commit to a duel. He can easily just hide and wait for his teammates to rotate in, and they've got to rush him down with pistols. But considering we have 3 Deagles in play, it's not really a rush weapon. Summer already dead from Fallen, finding the first on the A site, and that's actually going to force Stewie back. He thinks they go for an A execute, only for them to filter out B. Almost a nice bait from VG, who still have a player on the back side of the map. It is Attacker. So now, with SK setting up for this retake on B, they may not even go for this. And even if they decide to fall back, Attacker's here to try and keep them penned in. More damage done, eventually dropped, but it's not like SK can even win this round, so they have to save.
That is quick turn of events. Again, over rotation from SK there, or from Stewie on the inner bomb site, getting caught out by Zoking. And then him having that one Molotov, preventing any sort of earlier rotation in through connector. It's very well done. And VG, well, I did raise the question if they were able to were going to be able to find that much success, but they do.
Yeah, that is literally just off of the one-man rotation, right?
Yeah.
Well, not even just the player moving off of B in terms of Cold Zero, but also Stewie just walking backwards. So that is a shame. But it just shows the value of splitting sites and actually allowing for these kind of fakes in pistol rounds, right? Sending a player out onto A, even if he doesn't get anything done, it actually wins them the round, funnily enough. So
it's kind of odd. I guess the one thing you have to question is why SK does, or why Stewie decided to either want to reposition or do anything of that matter that late into the round, because still you have 3 players on the yard area with weapons going up against predominantly pistols. That should still be favored for you. Have to tighten things up a little bit.
Oh, this is a good start for SK still. It shouldn't be completely clouded by the fact that VG have won an eco. If a reset comes in here, it's, you know, a nice retrieval from SK, but still will have some money left up for the Chinese, who did just win when they already had cash saved in the bank. Fur dropping a first player up towards main, and now a push coming in. Timing bad for Stewie, who's still going to get out with a kill and a double, dropping the bomb as well. Getting surrounded by Attacker, but running out of ammo eventually will mean he goes down. The issue is the bomb's still stuck in the open, and Freeman, while he tries to catch a rotation through the connector, his entire team are dead. Attacker is the last man up, and while he will get aggressive, it's only good for one more. SK win the round, they do get the reset, but the question is, do VG buy up off the back of this?
They probably shouldn't. They have 2 players that sitting at above 5K, but that's pretty much all they have really to work off of. And I don't think you can expect too much to come out of just getting pistols and whatnot, even though it did work out in the previous round. So long term, just get a better buy, maybe drop an op over for summer. This summer around, they had the same approach though. They have one rogue player over towards that A bomb site. Jumping out into yard, hoping to create some sort of rotation, and it does leave Stewie alone on the B bomb side. But Zoking ended up whiffing too many shots and actually getting that early frag onto Stewie.
Aggression though from the CT side, and kind of unsupported as well. Stewie is down on B, so after Fur gets dropped again, we've seen this situation before, Vendetta. It's a gun given over to VG on an eco. It's Stewie playing solo B. They can't afford to make the same mistakes because SK have lost this exact round.
Yeah, Attackers, over towards the yard, waiting to pull out some shenanigans. It seems like the rest of the team, though, is moving back towards yard, or actually they're still fairly split.
And I like this reposition from Stewie. The reason being is he's not committed to the B site. Knowing they have pistols, he plays the back of the train, right? Knowing that, okay, if they take B, we can just retake. This time we don't have to save in the 3v3. We can actually give the round a real shot. So that's not committed.
That's probably what he wanted to do in the round. He got caught out as well, just to get further back. Just unfortunate timing. Cold's going to miss the shot. That's going to leave Attacker an opportunity to find Fallen, and Cold goes down as well. Bolt still once again being a hero. Well, talk about efficient bullet usage for bolts right there from Ivy, and similar to the other round we saw, heavy pop aggression or heavy, pop usage from Vici. It was bolts to save them with the double kill on the MP9, and this time he just doubles the ante and finds 4.
11-1 as well. He is having a sick start to this game. We've had different players step up each map here for SK, which is nice to see. Not just completely relying at least on one player, and now VG have the buy to play with. Full rifles in, even though they've been more successful with pistols so far. No AWP, 2 of which on SK's side. Even some aggression as well. Look at Bolts. He's pushed all the way down Ivy. Flashing through, might be able to catch out someone, and it does. Bolts finding that first kill now gives SK a great opportunity. And VG with no position to trade that frag as well. The closest player is Attacker, who's down in the T-spawn. So SK going to be pretty happy with that engagement.
Definitely so. Fallen's going to continue their success with the frag onto Freeman as well. Now, well, Vici are just very spread out, and they don't really seem to have anywhere to go at this point. They have utility to play with, but they need to group up and actually just commit to a bomb set again. Stewie's playing alone on that inner bomb. Oh, Shadow.
He's seen it. He knows. He's just making sure there's not a second player there close in main. Doesn't want to overextend. And
that's going to be a knife.
Oh, no way! Thur finds 2. Maybe a third? Yes, Thur. That is sick.
All right, so the individuals on SK are definitely waking up here. We saw Bolts in the previous round, now Fur as well. Just ice cold as well. Sees the Shadow for about, half a light year. before he decides to commit. It still just holds the angle towards Pop for so long, even after getting up on top of the train and spotting out Attacker. It's very well done, and obviously being able to control his spray as well. That's very easily to get fumbled when you get surprised like that.
And even considering he was low on ammo for the third kill, I think is really nice. He's able to get it and not run out of ammo and get overwhelmed. So, yeah, this is a really, really good map so far for SK. Again, this is kind of what we expected here. If VG didn't win that previous map, then this is where SK are just back in the driving seat, back in control. And considering on both maps so far, it's been their CT side that's weak, and now they're off to a 7-1 lead, make it nearly an 8-1 lead. Things are starting to look up. Yeah.
Again, though, it could be, I guess, a difference of the map playing out differently. It is more CT favored than T side. So a bit of a change of pace from Cash and Inferno, but this is looking much better from SK just in general. And VG, they've kind of regressed to the fact where, well, yeah, we're seeing individuals, but it's similar to their first half on Inferno as well. It's not necessarily strategy that's bringing them through and actually getting the runs on the board. It's more individuals being able to step up every now and again. And this time, they've had individuals showcase it, nearly getting there. But it's been 3K and not the 4K coming through in clutch situations.
Well, yeah, again, like their T-side Inferno or VG's T-side Inferno, they were just going for quick executes with not much utility, right? So we were just relying completely on Angels being one, and that's very difficult to get the same done on Train. You like those smoke walls down, especially on the A site, to try and get you a more map control, get you closer into the connector maybe, and to keep the pressure up on SK, rather than just taking these ranged duels when SK have orbs, and we still haven't seen any for this T side.
Yeah. So, okay, VG are doing what I'd like to see them do, which is move or put more pressure on towards that inner bomb site. The only issue is that they've probably noticed that Sui's playing alone on inner a lot of the time. But the only time he does that is when they've put pressure on Yard initially, so they actually forced a rotation from SK. This time they haven't done any of that. They've given up complete map control, so they're going to have to go up against a much more stronger SK defense, and well, Molotovs are going to burn them as well.
Oh no, Stewie, he had his back turned. Look at this wrap from Fallen though. He's rotating back in through, and a shot through the smoke from Fallen. Exactly what he needed. Attack is still dangerously close, but it doesn't seem to matter because Fallen's dropped the bomb as well. Removed any chance of getting a bomb part here. Attacker, big kill there. But in the meantime, Cold Zero's wormed his way behind enemy lines. There's the bomb not getting dropped because Cold Zero misses. And the second one, Zolking needs to kill him, but he's going to miss all his opportunities, leaving Attacker to try and find this 4K. We've seen massive performances from this exact man, and pushed up to the connector. He's found 3 so far, but does he know where Fur is? He came on the long wrap. He's not been spotted. Attack is still focused towards the spawn, and the timing of the peak does work out for Fur.
Oof. Again, it's so close. It's that 3K, but not the 4K for Vici. And Fallen obviously just getting shots through the smoke and whatnot. Not a whole lot going the way of Vici there. There's so much chaos as well, right? The fact that Colzera is able to sit on upper there for so long, just kind of sneak his way up. Like, doesn't land the shot on Zoking, but interrupts the plan at least. And eventually he manages to close it out, but that does give time for Fallen to get more frags and whatnot.
And now look, the lack of plant, look at how that's really, really hindered VG in this buy, right? Only one smoke on the T side. Summer has no head armor. We only just have AKs. Like, this is just on the border of them ecoing, basically.
Yeah, but they need rounds at this point. The only thing I would have liked to see them go back towards the B bomb site once again, because they seem to have a pretty good. They're pretty committed and pretty good at executing actually onto the bomb site, but they need to actually draw someone out from SK. So Stewie's playing as a solo defender on that site. They didn't do it the previous round. Now they're just going for straight up duels, and that's not going to work out at all.
Oh, Bolt is having such a good game so far. 2 kills there, locking down main. Cold Zero again with the orb. He's rotated off B, and I'm pretty sure SK are happy with that because Summer is now the last alive. And in all of this madness, Stewie is still in the pop dog. I like the position that Bolts had taken because Bolts was committed towards main, but still, if anyone came into pop, Stewie was there. And now he's finally been spotted, but Summers have to run back because he's half health, 50 seconds, 1v3, and nothing but an AK to play with. Not even a helmet in this clutch. So, yeah, the chances are running dry here for VG. It seems like SK may have their 10th. And even if someone's going to go for this, he's got to make a move now because there's 35 seconds left on the clock.
I think he's just waiting out for time, hoping that somebody from SK is thinking to themselves that, well, he might have rotated, he might have snuck by somewhere. It's not the case. Fallen actually misses a sitter. So a little bit more room to wiggle in for Summer, but the net is slowly closing in on him.
Yeah, Just got to be careful he doesn't die out of time at this point, and Stewie not going to at least kill him too late.
Shows mercy.
Lost bonus at least built up now at this point for VG, but they're at a point where they need a bomb plant every round if they want to fully buy up. They're actually going to go for this anyway. They're going to force, but real limitations here. They cannot get full rifles, especially not if they want nades. And already a UMP for Zoking to allow for that utility. Some players going with rifles, but they can only afford a flash or two behind it. And yeah, I mean, this buy is trash.
It's not great. But again, I want to see them put pressure on Yard, have coldzera rotate over to Connector, and have Stewie being the sole defender on the inner bomb side. I feel like that's the only way they can actually get anything done. Because the ops are just shredding them apart.
Yeah, I don't know what they're really expecting at this point. Like, look at this. Fur, Fallen, everyone just hitting shots. No one really going to get an opportunity, although Lovey does find a double. However, in the midst of all this, again, like the rotations come through, those 2B players are back on the site, and SK win the round 11-1. If you're going to go into a round with no utility, I feel like hitting Yard is just a bad decision.
Yeah, especially when you're going up against an op on Fallen where he's having a good game. He's hitting shots. And yeah, no, it's uninspired by Vici, and it's kind of weird that they decided to take the timeout after that. Like, that was the best they could come up with without a timeout. But as you said, they have max loss bonus, so they will be able to push up AKs every round. Somebody's probably going to take the hit, get a UMP, and get more utility. But again, just try to spread SK apart a little bit more so than what you've done up to this point in the game.
I'd say even with these buys, though, like, just because they're on max loss doesn't mean they should be continually buying up, right? That's only $3,400. You want a full buy. You want AWPs, right? We haven't had a T-side AWP this entire map. Like, what is that? You know SK are running double AWP, and it's been completely shredding them, as you say. And now they go for full AKs with a smoke on it. Like, this is... I don't even know what VG are trying to do at this point. They're not going for any ecos. They're not saving up money to buy AWPs, and they're just basically throwing away any opportunity they have.
The problem is that they can't allow SK to get more rounds. They need to
They're giving them rounds.
But they need to get a round back, right? That's the problem. They can't afford to eco in the situation, and that's kind of a catch-22, I guess.
Ooh.
So they have to rely on stuff like that.
But it only takes them so far. Look at the kills already coming back here for SK. Ferb spotting the shadow. There's a free kill for him. Boom, SK back in control. And yeah, you can easily make the argument, yeah, okay, they need rounds because they're 11-1 down, but they've been digging themselves a hole now for 3 in a row. They could have ecoed one and had a full buy with AWPs, with AKs. Oh, yeah.
Definitely, they definitely could have done that earlier, but the situation they find themselves in right now doesn't allow for that to be the case. That's really the issue. But like, more so than that, even if you have a shoddy buy, at least you'd have to hope that the plan you have for the round is somewhat gathered, and that's not really the case either. You have Attacker running out initially to find an opening frag. Sure, that's great, but there's no follow-up. You have still an extremely spread-out team all over the map that gets caught up. You know, coldzera gets a frag over towards B. There's still one guy lurking up by brown walls, and you still have players, you know, sitting around Pop Dog as well. So there's no cohesion into what they're doing. If you're going to commit with a low econ buy, especially if you're going into Yard, as you said, with no utility, at least you need the firepower to counteract that. And if you don't do that either, then you're not giving yourself a whole lot of chance to win rounds.
I just want to see them try this B site at the very least. It's so easy to get a bomb plant there, and even though SK have run 2 players there the last couple of rounds, I still think there's an opportunity for VG. But no, they're back to basics, back to being bombarded with AWPs.
Where are you going to shoot them? That's pretty much the game plan that VG has at this point.
See, this probably works in China, but...
not versus SK.
No. Maybe they should cut some internet lines. Who knows? I heard that works as well.
Well, we'll see what comes out of this. So, finally some Ivy pressure here going on. We've seen, outside of the pistol round, not really a whole lot happening towards Ivy from Vici, outside of, well, Bolts going aggressive one time and finding Summer. But yeah, nothing comes out of it. coldzera finds the pick on lower on Zoking after missing the initial shot as well. So there definitely was an opportunity there for Zoking to find an opening back. But again, there's no bigger plan behind this.
I like the bait, though, at least. A player jump crossing allows Freeman to peek up close, but he can't follow up with more than one. The flank up through Ivy. Finally, some positional control taken towards there. And Summer's even going to find the entry onto the B player, coldzera, having rotated to his death. Now leave 2 SK players standing, make that just 1. And VG, finally, they've rinse and repeat for 4 rounds in a row. They may actually find one, unless Stewie can get this clutch. He does have the time for it. The kit, good utility for this as well, considering a smoke and a Molotov is perfect, but it's a 1v3, and they're so separated.
Yeah, so many angles to clear out. I'm not sure why Lovey's leaving his position as of right now. Well, still going to manage to do it. It's not pretty, but it got the job done this one time at least. But this time around, they did actually have some more pressure points than what they've done for the last 4 or 5 rounds when they've gone towards the yard. They actually have Lovey and Ivy to be able to trade, so they don't necessarily get harassed by an op or bolts just constantly firing down shots from 7 train. They can actually, stress SK in some situations.
Well, this is an opportunity to find a third here. They've got the AWP, they've got rifles, utility is good. No real excuses here for VG, but of course SK still plethora of money after winning 12 rounds of the half so far, maybe even a 13th. I'm leaning towards it.
Let's see if it seems that way.
SK again, look at the confident setup. Fallen's all the way down Ivy. One player playing passive on B, so they give away the site, but they can easily set up for a retake, and SK have been good at that so far on the couple of rounds we've seen this B play come through. Fallen. Oh, such a nice angle. Catches attacker. Holding for it, but not ready. And Summer at least trading up does take down Fur, who continues to play aggressive after SK have a pick. And at a 12-2 scoreline, that doesn't really surprise me, but it's not going to work out. And Cold Zero dropped by Freeman as well. Fallen, again, the man of all trades here, is going to come in with a second of the round. And Bolt's even defending as well from the back of the site. He's going to find himself 2. This should just leave Summer stuck in a 1v3 and probably without a lot of chance.
Spot out one, not able to connect the shot onto Bolts. So 3K from Bolts again, just finishing off what was a very nice first half from him. And, well, I think we can safely assume that Vici not as well versed on a map like Train as the two first ones.
Yes, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, but it is a bit surprising that we see them being so stagnant and so one-dimensional when it's... I guess we do have the benefit, obviously, of having a bird's eye view, but it should be fairly evident when you run into Cold Zero and Connector, 3 rounds in a row that he is, in fact, actually rotating over towards yard a couple of times.
I mean, it's not even just like, you can say we have a bird's eye view, but it's VG completely repeating what they're doing round after round, walking into A with no utility. Like, that's not even... You don't even need a bird's eye view. That's not a strategy. No, at least take B if you're going for these buys. So... yeah, big mistakes, but let's see if they can try and pull it back, try and make up for this. SK looking to do the damage in the second pistol. They have a lot of utility here. This is certainly a B-side play with the current positions being held, and some aggression from CT side as well. Summer looking for contact up on the box halls. Does spot a lot of players, but instantly dinked down. Freeman with no utility either. He's got to hit some shots as they start to run out through upper, trying to finish off this low HP player. Stewie decapitated by Summer, who does give his revenge. Lovey as well gets a shot from the connector. These rotations are in for VG, but will the shots match it? Because Freeman is whiffing. He's not able to kill Fur. He's so low. 2 HP on the site and still getting the frag. Fur holds on to the round here for SK Gaming. The shot's close through the smoke. Fur ducking below the bullets of Zoking, and that gives himself another opportunity. But this duel needs to be won by attacker if they want to retake, because Bolts is in a really good spot to just constantly pressure the players on the site from above. Finally, the close range. He does win the duel. Fur as well follows up, and now they can't even get on the bomb. The time is ticking away. Bolts doesn't need to peek, and Zoking running away.
Fur must have a invisibility cloak or something like that. He hit around two separate smokes with 5 HP for about 30 seconds.
Impressive.
Impressive nonetheless. Like, he was ducking and weaving, like, straight up Neo moves out of the Matrix. And he actually got an additional kill out of it. Like, first off, he gets Freeman, who, just straight up whiffs his shots. But then the second guy as well, not Soaking, but I want to say attacker, down to the bomb site, just... no way that should happen at all, but he's just somehow managed to work his magic. The
pieces of the puzzle are all put together for SK right now.
Yeah, it really is. Like, everything that could work in their favor is going in their favor, and, well, this buy is no different. First going aggressive, as is usual. This gets spotted up, and Zoking's going to take down Stu instead. Is kind of caught out and trapped behind E-Box, though.
Yeah, and he's going to be hung out to dry there. Bolt's winning the duel. The scout missing the shot. Lovey, he needs something here because they're very focused on the Ivy position. That no one is down there right now for SK. They're committing towards main, walking out in through the yard. Already smokes down, though. Something the VG need to learn, clearly. As Bolt gets above the train, he's going to be able to get some more damage off. Finished off by the scout, Fallen as well. 1 shot, 1 kill. Bolts follows up again. More impact from this man in train. An attacker, while he has taken Ivy, he's lost the round. It's SK all over the bomb site in a 1v4.
Don't worry, guys. Ivy's clear. He's got this. Oh, no. 1v4 ZZ. Maybe he could pry an AK out of the hands of one of the SK members and hold on to that going into a potentially last round. But it's not looking too promising. Already spotted out by Fallen. You can see all the Brazilians are converging around their prey. Well, Cold actually goes down. So nice shooting from Attacker there, but it's not going to be able to amount to anything at all. So match point for SK Gaming. Well, there's no other option for Vici than to force up once again.
They do love it, though. They're a big fan of the forces. So
they've had plenty of practice, at least.
Not gone too well.
No, it hasn't. So they need to turn the tide somehow, some way. But right now, it's fairly obvious that SK are just the better team on train.
Yeah. A better team overall for the series, as you would expect. So, yeah, there was cash. It went the way of VG in a very scarily dominant fashion, but unfortunately for them, it seems like their time here in the first best of 3 is over. Cold Zero looks to make it so, as Bolts as well trying to follow up. It's going to be third to nick that kill away and double down as well as his teammate ducks below his bullets, luckily not getting a haircut. Freeman dropping in, does get one frag, but small consolation here in the 1v5. He is eventually going to get mown down, and SK, they find the victory here. A 16-2 to clean up the best of 3. They will find the first match of the day in their hands.
They do, and I think, you know, people are probably going to, or people who tuned in for the last one are probably going to think this was a bit of a wash. That it was always going to be this way, but Vici definitely played a solid best of 3. I don't think you can necessarily. I think the one thing you can kind of just claim after watching this map is that, yes, Vici's map pool isn't as broad as SK's necessarily, but that's to be expected. They're not at the same level, you know, on an average day. But this has been a much better showing from the Chinese side than I ever expected.
I will say it's a weird best of 3 to have 2 stomps, both going to different teams, and then an overtime match as well, right? Like, where's that come from? Both teams kind of like, was SK slow to warm up, and Vici kind of went for a sprint in a marathon and lost all their energy by map number 3. It's a bit of a weird case. You don't see that too often.
And I definitely don't, but it does make for entertaining games at least. And that Inferno game was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, if you're SK, you're happy about how you ended the game. You're not too happy about how things started. And obviously, maybe you want to avoid cash. One of the interesting things, though, for this tournament as well, that Dust 2 is going to be in the map pool. Again, it's extremely fresh. You know, addition to tournaments nowadays after being brought back. So that could also play with the vetoes as well. SK has already been kind of shaky. Like, are they going to avoid this 2 a lot of the time, or is that going to mess with them? Because now they definitely have to worry about cash as well. If you get smashed by Vici Gaming, you've been smashed by Avantgarde, you've lost a Gambit as well. It's not trending upward, that map for you. So when you go up against other teams who are well versed on cash, what do you do if you're SK?
Yeah, if that's now going to be your Instaban, what happens to Nuke as well, right, for SK? That's never been a map they want to play. So Instaban for this event, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking to steal cash away, right? If you go up against a team like Mousesports that has a really sick map pool that can rival your Mirage, that is a good cash team that plays Nuke, and SK come into that game, like maybe they have a good pool, but you look at their best of 3 and you go, surely Mouse can win that veto in like a really good way, for example. Yeah. So it's kind of worrying. Yeah, that is a bit of a worry. You do hope that SK have the pocket pick of Dust 2 and have done some prep at least on that map, because otherwise they may have some serious struggles. Imagine not being able to play Dust, Cash, or Nuke in a tournament. Like that's going to be a bit of a worrying event for SK if that is the case.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising to talk that way about a team like SK as well, who usually was like, yeah, they have the best map pool in the world. Just end of story. Definitely not the case anymore, but it does leave for more interesting matchups, that's for sure.
Yeah, and another question mark for me is, like, where does the expectation of Vici go? Because we briefly mentioned this, I think, in Map 2. It's like, okay, they can have a great first game because they prepped for their opponent, but clearly when it comes down to going deeper in the tournament, can they repeat that success? Can they find more victories against teams that they haven't prepped for? Who knows? Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see. They definitely have the individual skill to do so. I guess it didn't quite clearly come through on train, but we definitely saw so on Cash and Inferno, even though Inferno didn't end up with the W, but they definitely have the likes or the means to go up against most of these teams, really. So I still, again, optimistically, cautiously optimistic for Vici Gaming going further.
Yeah, I hope they can have some good performance. And of course, it is Inferno where a lot of Asian teams have success, like Tyloo, MVP, Vici. Yeah. So let's keep an eye on them throughout the rest of the event. But we do have an interview with Parla on the stage.
Thanks very much, Hugo and Vendetta. I'm here with Gabriel. Fallen, good to see you. Hello, guys. Congratulations, but that was pretty tough.
That was very tough. Yeah, they played some good CS, mainly on the first map where they were winning all the duels, getting so many kills, playing a slow-paced game, making us use their utility, and they played smart CS.
Talk to us about that first map, Cash, 16-1. Surely that scoreline shouldn't happen to you guys against a team like VG, where they are very much an underdog.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's nice to think like that, but yeah, 16-1, it wasn't expected even for them. Like they'll never expect to beat us 16-1, and we'll never expect to lose on that fashion. But it's just the way the match went. They were winning all the duels. They were outplaying us, and some of our decisions and some of our fights we took weren't the great. So they got the first map. We knew it was a best of 3. We could come back on the other maps, and then Inferno was very scary as well. I think they were winning 15-14 at the end. I think when Inferno the good points for their team as a T side, they are able to sometimes play super slow, make us use their utility, and get important kills. But then sometimes we'll say, hey, let's save some utility, then they just come right away to our face and get the kills as well. So it was very smart CS from them on the first 2 maps.
It seemed like the momentum shift happened when you reached overtime and you got 3 rounds in a row, and then you came into train very aggressively. Would you agree with that? What was the difference maker in eventually just taking it over the line?
Yeah, so it's a very different game when we win CT Pistol and you have all utility 1 to do whatever you want. And I think we did some great aggressions on the train side. And on Inferno, as we lost the pistol round of the CT half and then got our economy broke, it was hard to find a good economy to really have everything we wanted, and they were able to punish us. So I think the main difference for the way we played on Train City to the other maps, the fact that on Train City we have a huge lead and a lot of economy, could risk more stuff. So that's why I think it went very differently.
All right, now speaking in general terms, tell us about the addition of Stewie and how that project is going so far.
Well, we are having a lot of fun. It's been challenging, but we are feeling the improvement every time. This match was a little bit shaky, but it's just the fact that not only us, but everyone expects the lower known teams who don't do that great. But the fact is that Counter-Strike nowadays, if they play smart CS, they play good basic CS, they can win games. And those guys, they have good aim, they have a very good plan. They're not doing anything crazy, not super strange strategies or taking risks too much, but they're playing together and getting the kills and trading. And that's how you play CS. They did a good job.
And now, Gabriel, then, as the father figure in your team and the captain, what can you tell me about what we should be looking out for from you guys at the rest of this event?
The first main goal for the team is, of course, getting out of the group stage. We managed to do that on the last tournament, which is important for us. And this is a tournament we're looking up to win. I mean, every tournament we're trying to win, but we feel that we're improving, and maybe that's the time we're going to be able to lift the trophy again. So expect a very tough escape. But expects close games, of course. If it's not with emotion, it's not escape.
Yeah, final thought then. You have been at one point the best team in the world, leading that team to huge trophies, major victories. But it's been a while since you've had that honor. Is it difficult to be in a position, as you have been the last few months, and now where you're trying to kind of find that fire again?
I don't say it's difficult. It's just challenging, right? You have the expectations very high. Everyone has expectation that you going to stay on the top forever, but it's just not how it is. Like, a lot of teams are trying hard, they're getting better players, they're improving themselves, and they just went a little bit further than us at the moment. So it's a little bit of a catch-up game. We have to improve ourselves. It's been a little bit difficult as we are trying new player, new communication. So a lot of things we're working on, but I'm pretty sure we know the path to get to the top again. We know what it takes, we know how to do it, so give us time.
Sorry, Gabriel, I'm keeping you here because I have one more question. I've realized I have so much to ask you, but only one more thing. Stewie, why him and how did that happen, in brief?
So we almost tried. Every single Brazilian top player has already played for SK, right? We had FNX, Taco, Phelps. So a lot of the good names from Brazil already play for us. And we decided to make a move going for international scene. Maybe because we thought it would be a little bit easier to communicate in English, and we thought ourselves that with another very great player, we could do even better. But the fact is that Stewie is a player that we always admired the way he plays CS. He can do everything in the game, and he's a very good entry. So for tackle position, Stewie is a good pickup, and he's doing great. We're loving it.
Awesome, Gabriel. Anything you'd like to say to people watching?
Thanks for cheering, guys. Tune in for the next match. I think we play one more tomorrow, and let's go in this trajectory together. It's not easy, but we can find our path back to the top.
Awesome. Always great to see you, Gabriel, and best of luck. Let's head back to Hugo and Vendetta.
Thanks very much for that interview, Parla. And yeah, bit of confidence on Fallen to maybe come back to the top in time. It's nice to see the expectations are kind of on par, right? You're not going back in going, oh yeah, we will be the best this event. You know, give some time, let the roster gel, let the team improve, and maybe we'll have SK at #1 eventually.
Yeah, no. If anything, Fallen has always seemed like a kind of guy who's very measured in his way of approaching things, and has a good head on his shoulders. So he knows how the circumstances are. He knows that it takes time to build a championship caliber team, and what steps you need to take to accomplish that goal. So yeah, in that sense, I've know that SK is going to be a contender for the future.
Yeah, definitely so. So the first 2 games of the day are done. Liquid 2-0 over NRG and SK 2-1 over Vici. We do have the next matchup on the B stream in about 15 minutes time. It's going to be the Polish matchup. VP up against AGO. Who will be the best in